Good always beats evil in the end. And this seems like a pipe dream, like I'm delusional, especially right now, right? Because we have all these people in power, in positions of power, in the Epstein class, in the predator class, the elite class that are performing evil deeds, causing mass suffering, and it looks like they're winning. It looks like they're in these positions of power because evil wins. This isn't the movies, Amir. This isn't a fairy tale. This isn't a story to make us feel good. In reality, actually, more often than not, evil prevails. Being selfish and conniving and lying and cheating and stealing is actually what makes you succeed. Okay? And I'm going to boil this down to the main reason why that is not the case, and that is sustainability. So let's first kind of roughly identify, what do I mean by good? What do I mean by evil? What is generally seen as positive, right? On the positive end of the spectrum, usually we define that as unity, love, harmony, right? Cooperation, health, teamwork, sustainability, things like that. Where on the negative side, the negative polarity, the evil polarity, we usually see friction, chaos, death, suffering, separation, isolation, contention, fighting, war, death, destruction, abuse, trauma. Okay? Now, at the core of what I would say is the good and what is at the core, at the fundamental baseline of the evil, the bad, is separation on the evil, negative polarity, and unity, love, on the positive polarity, unified and separated. Because at the source of all that there is unified. Everything is all part of the same universe, creation, God, whatever you want to call it, all part of the same substance, the same thing. So if that's the default, right, and that infinite substance is all one thing, then that is our foundation. That is where we come from, unity. Okay, connection, love. Love is that unifying force. And separation is the fall. Separation is actually the exception. Separation, isolation, suffering is a transient state. It is a transient phenomenon that lives on top of or exists on top of the default, which is unity. Unity does not require separation to exist, but separation requires unity to exist. You will notice that the negative pole requires the positive pole to exist, but the positive pole does not require the negative pole to exist. Because the negative pole is actually just a privation, is a lesser than, a diminishment, a constraint of the positive pole. Give you a quick example. For stealing, or actually even something more fundamental than that, lying, right? The truth does not require lies to exist. The truth is, it is the default, it is the being, right? But lying requires truth to exist. For a lie to exist, there must be truth for it to distort. And for a lie to be effective, there must be truth to exist. If nobody believes anybody, then there's no lie. It doesn't work, right? The point of the lie is that it represents itself. It presents itself as truth. This is why negative entities lie all the time. You can think about a lot of people in power who lie all the time, okay? And we all lie. It's a human thing. We're all flawed in our own way, right? Because we're separate finite beings compared to the infinite all that is the unified substance of creation. But you get my point. So the reason why good always wins in the end, because you have to think about it too, it's not just one lifetime. We're working across lifetimes. So don't think just because somebody dies, they've gotten away with it. Their karma their karma persists, okay? And also to be even in that state where you are harming other people or lying and cheating and stealing constantly on the run, that is not an enjoyable state. Just like we don't envy drug addicts who are strung out or who are chasing their next fix, or an addict who's chasing the next fix, the same can be said for negative entities that are causing mass suffering. They're not succeeding by being rich and powerful and at the top or being famous or having lots of people worshiping them. That is them deluding themselves. They need it. It's the hunger ghost. They'll never actually satisfy. They never really feel truly connected, true love, true source at its core. Whereas you have somebody who could be a yogi in the mountains who has no material benefits, but they are at peace. They have access to a bliss that is beyond any great orgasm or delicious food or lots of money or aesthetically pleasing thing that they could even imagine. Okay? It's beyond our comprehension how amazing this could be. So the reason why good always wins is because, again, you have to think about across lifetimes, but inherently, as I just said before, the negative pole, separation, is unsustainable. It cannot be sustained. The positive pole, the good, is the default. It is infinite. It is expansive. It is being itself. It requires no justification. Love requires no justification. Unity, harmony requires no justification. We are naturally drawn to it because it is our birthright. It is our default. The negative pole requires justification, explanation, convoluted excuses, right? Distortion and deceit to persist. And it is inherently unsustainable. It's going to collapse. These are why unequal or unequal empires always collapse. They always fall. And things like holistic, egalitarian societies always persist. I know we think, oh, there's genocides and whatever. Shamanic cultures, indigenous cultures have been around for tens of thousands of years. And as you notice, right, the empires, they fall quicker and quicker and quicker because they're unsustainable, because they take too much energy. Eventually, that separate piece, that specific piece of creation just takes too much energy to sustain itself and it collapses, usually in a fantastic display of destruction and chaos and entropy, essentially. And we're seeing this today with the American empire and the current power structures that are in place that are trying to hold on for dear life, because as they hold on for dear life, the negative polarity, what it does is it causes chaos, it causes suffering, it causes confusion with deceit and lies. It tries to discombobulate or disorganize the masses because they understand that if the people come together and understand that at the core, unity, love will always win because it is inherently sustainable, while the negative evil pole is inherently unsustainable. Lying, cheating, stealing, murdering, right? If everybody murdered, then there would be no one to exist. Murdering requires life, health to exist. Disease requires health, love to exist. Disease, all these destructive principles are inherently unsustainable. So this isn't to make you feel good or to necessarily explain away that, everything's okay because of all the bullshit that's happening in the world today. I mean, the world's fucked up. It is what it is. We can't change that. We can work towards it, right? The story has already been written up until this point, but we can write into the future. What needs to be understood is that do not fall victim to the deceit. Do not fall victim to the fear-mongering. Do not fall victim to the narrative that is being spun that we are powerless and that actually evil does prevail and actually it does pay to perform crimes or to hurt other people or suffering or to enrich yourself at the expense of other people. Because that karma comes home to roost, whether in this incarnation or the next, always. And it is inherently unsustainable. And it is running away from the inevitable, which is your own destruction if you fall down that negative path. And essentially, at the core, inflict suffering onto other beings or treat other beings, actually even more fundamental, treat other aspects of creation as separate from yourself. That is really the root of all suffering, is this feeling of separation of I am a distinct thing separate from everything else. So sit with that understanding, sit with that wisdom for a little bit and see how it makes you feel, because it is very easy to think in this day and age that evil wins and that good is powerless in the face of true evil and supremacy and elite power structures, but understand that those are unsustainable and they will fall under the weight of their own negativity.